So our lab is specifically interested in how cells use oxygen. We're actually interested in why we breathe and what that oxygen does and where it goes. And it ends up being used actually to make a lot of molecules. And one of those is the head group of a molecule that a lot of people take as a supplement, coenzyme Q10. So you can go to any drugstore and you'll find CoQ10 on the supplement shelf. The goal is to block a process that cancer cells use when oxygen is low. The idea is actually, I think, quite simple. Look, if you don't have, for instance, a lot of money, you have to be very, very scrupulous. I would say even if you have a lot of money, regardless of how much money one has to be very scrupulous about budgeting that money. The same is true for cancer cells. Cancer cells live in environments where there's very little oxygen, and even when there is little oxygen, they rely upon this process that we discovered to make coenzyme Q10, and they need CoQ10 to grow and to survive. And we're trying to target that. It turns out that cancers that are low in oxygen prioritize the activity of this enzyme, and with Harrington's help, we're trying to target it. We're trying to make small molecule inhibitors, effectively, that block cells' preferential use of this enzyme in low oxygen environments. And some of the some of the worst cancers that we have, cancers like pancreatic cancer, which is our first area of interest, but also glioblastomas, any cancer that really has gotten large and spread tends to have low oxygen, and the lower the oxygen, generally the worse the prognosis. And so we're actually trying literally to target something that cancer cells preferentially use when oxygen is low, a metabolic pathway that cancer cells prioritize when oxygen is limiting. The Harrington Discovery Institute have essentially given us the best of academia and the best of industry in one package. Basically, Harrington Discovery Institute has allowed us to work on the very sort of high-risk, high-reward ideas in our lab, and given us the flexibility of an academic lab, which we really, truly are grateful for. And combine that with the rigor, the intensity, and the new chemical matter discovery resources, the chemistry resources of pharma. It's allowed us to do this effectively from the comfort of our own home in the lab, but with the might of industry and the rigor of industry and the careful processes of industry behind us. Look, academia is lovely for doing things. For the sort of discovery research that I do, there is no substitute. But if you want to move a compound into patients, you have to have industry, or at least people who have worked in industry behind you. It's a very different skill set. It's a very different mindset, a necessary mindset. And we've learned a lot from them, and that's what we want to carry on doing.